Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you to a new episode of the AM Show. Today, I have Chris Ronzio, founder of Trainual, and some other businesses that he will also be talking to you about. This is the AM Show with arts music lawyer, where ambition and motivation meet persistence and drive, where your wildest dreams come true and even the greatest possibilities become realities. Listen to people just like you who stay authentic to who they are and master the art of their craft. Are you sharing the art of you? The art of you is music to my ears. Stay focused, stay on track. Create a new lifestyle with ambition and motivation. The AM Show. This episode is sponsored by the law firm of Marcella Dominguez. If you're an entrepreneur, business owner, or artist looking to protect your brand, then Marcella is right for you. Marcella has worked with hundreds of entrepreneurs like authors, clothing brands, Amazon sellers, consultants, and entertainers. Protecting your brand does not have to be tough. Let Marcella save your brand before your business name or slogan gets pulled out from under you. Go to marcellatm.com to learn more. So welcome, Chris, and give everyone an intro.
Hey, Marcella, thank you so much. I'm pumped to be here. So Trainual is a system for documenting all the policies and processes in your business, creating your playbook, I guess you would say, training your team as you grow, and then just making sure that everything's done consistently. So a lot of people talk about your systems and your processes, and you can drown in documents if you let yourself, and Trainual is kind of the way to organize all that content.
So what was your inspiration for starting Trainual?
It was a long road. So it started with my first business. I had a video production company that I started when I was 14, and we did youth sporting events all around the country. So as that business grew, I was training hundreds of camera operators to show up and film different events. And so it was very systems oriented, and our processes and checklists and procedures were crucial to growing that business. So when I sold that, I started consulting for other small businesses, and I saw training was just as big a problem for them. But I was creating documents and SOPs, and I felt like there's got to be a better way to do this. So I looked at the suite of tools that were out there, and really there's good solutions for big businesses, enterprise kind of training systems. But for smaller companies, they were stuck trying to cobble together, Dropbox folders and Google Sites and WordPress sites. And so that's where the idea for Trainual really came from.
So how do you think your past business successes, and maybe even failures have helped you grow Trainual?
Without my past business experience, I think I wouldn't have a competitive advantage with anyone else to make Trainual the business it is today. So I think so much of our success today is my ability to convey through our marketing messages the real burden of being an entrepreneur and being a manager, a leader in a company, and how you can use systems to sort of set yourself free. And if I didn't have that experience myself or struggle with it for 20 years on my own, then it would be harder to be authentic in sharing that message today. So crucial to what we're doing.
I heard through Mike RC when you were being interviewed that you also had a business called Organized Chaos. Do you still have Organized Chaos?
I think everybody has organized chaos, but my business it's kind of on a standstill right now. So Trainual was built from within Organized Chaos, the consulting firm. Mm-hmm. And we tested it on our consulting clients. So the way it worked was the consulting business would go in and build systems for people. And then if they wanted them all documented so that they had a standardized way to train their teams, we would put them onto Trainual. But then as more companies wanted Trainual and didn't need the consulting, we spun Trainual out as a separate business. So I still have the consulting firm, but there's nothing going through it right now because of how exciting Trainual has been.
So what other businesses do you have besides Trainual?
So when I had the consulting business, it was kind of like a portfolio idea where some of the customers we'd work with, we'd take a percentage of equity in their company. And so through that, I built, partnerships in 6 other businesses. One of them is called Design Pickle. It's an unlimited graphic design service. And then with that partner, we also started a company called JAR, which is a ticketing request system for marketing agencies. We started Yes Insights, which is a survey tool. You mentioned Mike RC. He and I partnered on a project called Account Stack. That's a kind of an account management tool for agencies with productized service.
Mhm.
I've got equity in a Microsoft rentals company, which is the closest I get to Microsoft products. I'm usually a Apple guy. So it's been a handful of things, but Trainual is definitely my main focus.
So for entrepreneurs that are just starting out, everything you just mentioned might sound a little bit daunting. It sounds like you have your fingers in a lot of, in a lot of businesses, your hands in a lot of businesses. So give them some perspective if they're just starting out. I mean, they're not going to jump right in and have, their hands in everything. So how do they start? How do they organize their thoughts to eventually get to the point that you are now?
Well, it starts small. You've got to start with one thing. I mean, I think the problem entrepreneurs make is that you do something for someone and you make $1 once through some customer. And then you think, I want to do this. That's the business. But then somebody else tempts you with offering a different product or a different service. And so you add a little variety. And before long, you've got this big menu of services that you're trying to deliver, and you're not efficient in how you deliver those things. So the crucial part to scaling a business is that you've got to be narrow in what you're doing. So my video business, for instance, when I started it at 14, we did, sports, we did commercials, we did wedding videos, we did photo montages, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, quinceañeras. We would do anything for anyone that would pay us. But then a couple years into the business, I saw that the events we were doing were the most repeatable thing, where we'd show up to an event, we would set up a tripod and a camera, film what was going on, and sell copies to the people that were attending, VHS and then DVD and then Blu-ray. And then it evolved into video on demand and live streaming coverage. But it was a very narrow thing we were doing, was just youth sporting events, unedited, straight to the parents, coaches, and scouts that wanted the footage. And it wasn't until we narrowed down our focus to that we could really build a system out of how to do that around the country. So my advice to entrepreneurs just getting started would be, try everything, see what you like, but then narrow down and say, I only want to specialize on this one thing, because then I can get efficient at it, and then I can write the instructions for it, and then I can teach someone else to do it.
So obviously you are a serial entrepreneur, but how has building a software been different than all of the other businesses? And what have you had to learn that was just off? That was just seemed like way off the mark from everything else?
I mean, building software for me is kind of what I always wanted in a business, because it's got residual or recurring income. It's got predictability, in that you can see full through the transparency of the cost to acquire a customer, through the retention rates of your customer and their lifetime value. That's what I love about it. The hard part about it is that, not everyone has the same level of tech savviness. And so when you're building a technical tool, you really have to build a lot of resources to get people started, a whole customer service team, customer success team that we're building out. And that was all brand new for me. So it's been an amazing business to get into, and we're making a much bigger impact than I could consulting, which I love. But there's definitely been a learning curve on how to acquire customers and how to get them off on the right foot. Actually, before Trainual, I hardly ever did marketing either. That was a massive, thing I had to learn. I think the year before I started Trainual, we spent $300 on promoted Facebook posts, and now we spend, more than my salary every month.
So would you say that has been the most difficult aspect, is the marketing?
For sure. Yeah. Now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, I take it for granted because we've been doing it and learning constantly. But if I went back a couple years to before Trainual started, the marketing was the thing that I did not have in my wheelhouse that I needed to get to where we are.
So how have you overcome that? And how are you currently overcoming that?
Well, I think the first thing is I'm constantly listening to podcasts like this. Interviews, podcasts, reading articles. I started running last year, right around the same time that we launched Trainual. I started doing longer distance running and trail running in the mountains where I live. And so every day I'd be listening to a half hour, an hour of a podcast episode. And I found dozens of shows I really liked. And I think that constant education is something I resisted before. I used to say, I've got enough on my to-do list. I've got enough on my mind. I don't need any more inputs. But what I realize is that as I'm listening to things every single day, the ideas kind of naturally prioritize themselves. And if I stopped listening, I might have lost half of the great ideas that I've had.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So who do you get like when you need answers that are customized to your specific situation, who do you go to?
There's a few different things. So first of all, I participate in entrepreneur organization, EO. So I've got a forum, which is like a mastermind of other business owners, hugely valuable for me. I'm in a online group called SaaS Academy with a coach over there. So for software as a service related questions, I'll post them there. I'm in different groups on LinkedIn and Facebook that I'll post questions to. My wife is kind of a pseudo board of directors. So, I mean, we'll sit down and talk about things, and then just other mentors and coaches I've had over the years. So I'm fortunate to have no shortage of mentors around me.
That's awesome. So what do you think has been like the one piece of advice within marketing that has really just kind of been better than the rest?
If you believe in your message, you'll back your message with your money. And I think for so long, I was tentative to spend on advertising because it felt like a cost and not an investment. And when I heard that advice that if I believe in what I'm saying, I will back that, I'll promote that message, I'll back it with money, that changed the game for me because I felt a guilt that I wasn't getting my message out there because I believed in it. And so it shifted from feeling like it was a cost to feeling like I can't spend enough on marketing because I want everybody to know about this.
I love that. I think I'm going to have to like do a little like redo of that clip and just play it like over and over throughout this, throughout this podcast. Cause I think that is really, it's like reverse psychology.
Game changer, seriously. Yes. And it's like when you realize that you've got a product or service that you believe in and you've got a message that resonates with people, like you can't be stopped. You want to tell everybody, you want to shout it from the rooftops. And so I think if you don't feel that way, if you don't feel confident enough to put money into your marketing, then maybe your product or service is not strong enough, and you've got to revisit what the problem is, but if you're satisfied, if you think you've got a awesome product or service, why wouldn't you market it?
Right. And that makes sense. I mean, it makes sense, but it's kind of like a reverse psychology thing that you're doing there. It just, I think it's going to throw people for a loop, but I'm glad that it's going to do that. Yeah. And so, okay. And so you have kids and a family also. Mm-hmm. So how do you balance everything?
Well, I think it's, as an entrepreneur, you've got a different sense of balance. It's not like you've got a 9 to 5 and you leave work at work and then you leave home at home. It's very much like certain seasons are going to be very busy for the business and certain seasons are going to be very not as busy, and you can kind of catch up on your home life. So mm-hmm. There are a couple things I do. First of all, we go on a month-long family vacation every summer. So we're always going somewhere different. It's like amazing family time. My wife and I do a weekly date night without question. It's on the calendar. We do annual and quarterly planning. So just like how I run the business, my wife and I will go away for an annual retreat and plan out our year. And then we do quarterly updates to plan things out and make sure that we're on top of our family goals. And then I've committed to, I take my son to school 3 days a week and I do bedtime, books every single night. So that's my schedule. I think if you build your business to around your life, then you can be a lot more successful than if you try to accommodate your life around your business. And so for anybody at any point in your business, whether you're just starting out or you've been doing it for 30 years, you have the keys to the kingdom. Like if you're not happy with how much you're working, then you're your own worst boss. You get to write the rules. And so I would challenge everybody to look at your own calendar and just put in the time blocks of the family stuff that's non-negotiable, whether it's date nights or bringing kids to school or lunches or anything like that. And then your work life fills in around it.
Okay, 2 very important questions. One, do you try to let your kids forge their path according to what their interests are? Or do you kind of try to incorporate entrepreneurship into their learning?
A little bit. So my kids are young, 4 and 1 years old. And so my 4-year-old, he is just getting to the point where he wants things at the store. And so I tell him he's got to earn the money. And so I taught him to use my espresso machine at home. And I give him $2 to make me coffee, because I figure if I'm going to pay it at Starbucks, I'll pay it at home. And so I'll come downstairs and he'll be like, "Daddy, do you want coffee?" And run up, and like he has to climb up the counter to get to the espresso machine. And so there's like those little hints of entrepreneurship. And then there's also, we've bought games and things like that, like a lemonade stand game. And so I think I've introduced it, but not forced it. And as they get older, I'll support whatever they want to do. But hopefully it's creative, whatever it is.
So how important is it for you to be involved in the educational process? Like once they get a little bit older, if they're going to continue in the school they're currently at, or if you're going to choose a school based on their interests or kind of what you want them to learn?
So my wife's done an amazing job researching all the schools in our area and signing them up for programs. And I think it's just kind of the same way that we have we do 90-day check-ins with, like I said, with my wife, and we do them with all of our employees, and it's a constant feedback loop. And so I think we just have to be tuned in to what the kids are enjoying and talk to the teachers and understand if it's a good fit. And then we just change course if we need to. In terms of the business guidance, the kids know that I'm there for them, and that's the most I can do as a dad, is just be around. My dad, when I was growing up, was in a corporate position. He traveled all the time. And so Monday to Friday, he'd be gone, and we'd see him on the weekends for games and things like that. And so I knew that in starting my own business, I wanted to be there every night for bedtime and have those real conversations with the kids as they're growing up. So I can support whatever they want.
Interesting. Okay. And last question. I know that there might be some days that it makes it that it's just difficult to kind of like get going. And I know that you have coffee, but besides coffee, do you listen to music, or is there a song in particular that just kind of like pumps you up?
Oh man, a song that pumps me up. The kids kind of run the house with the songs, so that we have the Google Voice things in every room. And even my 1-year-old, he can't even talk yet, but he goes up to the thing and is like, "Goo, goo, goo," because he's trying to get Google to say things. So I don't know if there's like a particular song that I always put on. My routine is I force myself to get up early. I meditate every morning. I journal almost every day. I do some sort of workout, almost every day. And to me, that like early morning routine is what forces my mind into the right, mindset for the day. Because definitely there's a lot of days where I wake up and I'm like, I'm not feeling this. I don't want to do it. But so you have to kind of push yourself through a routine to get ready to play.
Okay, so what's the one song?
Gosh, you're going to push this, huh?
I'm going to push it. There's got to be one song.
The song that the kids play all the time is Dynamite by Tayo Cruz and Ludacris. And so I feel like that's every day that's on in my house 100 times. That and like the Home Alone theme song, which is strange, but my son is really into that soundtrack. And then Carly Rae Jepsen, like big fans of Carly Rae Jepsen. For me, I don't know. It's like, gosh, I don't have a pump up song. You're making me self-conscious. I need to.
Well, I know you have a voice, and so that's why I'm putting you on the spot, because I heard it on Mike Arcee's podcast. So. Oh,
please.
No, so the first song, just sing like the first 10 seconds.
Well, I don't have a song picked out.
No, the first one by Tayo Cruz that you were talking about.
No way.
Yes, way. Oh, cheater.
Man, I don't know. It's funny.
All right.
There's no point trying to hide it. Oh.
There's no point trying to hide it. No point trying to evade it.
All right, I'll take that. Just 3 seconds. All right, Chris. Well, I want to find out if there's anything else that you want to share with the people listening, specifically about building software, because that is what you're doing best right now. And I know that people who are maybe starting, that sounds pretty daunting. So give them advice in terms of software.
I would say the best thing you can do is get familiar with tools like Zapier and If This and That, because if you understand how different software connects to each other, there's a lot that you can hack together with cheap tools that are already out there. And that's how I started. And I think you need to be hyper aware of how tools connect and how the existing software tools work before you go and try to create your own. So that's what I would say, is just dive into that. And also get really familiar with Product Hunt. Product Hunt is a website where you can see all new tools and software things as they're being released or updated. And so I was really plugged into that before I ever tried making a tool of my own.
Awesome. Okay. And tell them where they can find you and sign up for Trainual.
So you can find me online, chrisronzio.com, Facebook, Instagram at Chris Ronzio, and Trainual is just trainual.com, trainual.com. And if you want to learn more about documenting topics in your business, we set up trainual.com/checklist, and you can see over 150 things that our customers are documenting inside their companies.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you so much, Chris. And I hope to have you on it again in maybe like a year or so and see what has transpired in this year.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.